Hi there, guys. I've been in the market for a compact shovel to put in my vehicle, and I've looked around for a while at different ones, especially the military entrenching tool type shovels, but I never really came across anything that I kind of liked at a price that I was willing to pay. So I happened to be wandering around my local Princess Auto location, and Canadians will recognize that store name. For Americans who aren't familiar with it, it is somewhat like a Harbor Freight store. A little bit different, maybe Tractor Supply meets Harbor Freight. Anyway, this was in the surplus section of our local Princess Auto store, and that section of the store carries a tiny bit of military surplus, but most of it is commercial overruns and discontinued type items, usually at pretty darn good prices. So this was no exception. This was $25 on sale, and similar ones online seem to sell for about $50. So this, of course, is made in China, as most of these things are, and it has the usual unusual branding on it and unusual slogans, you know, feel the new life, whatever that has to do with the shovel. Anyway, this is a vehicle outdoor foldable multifunction stainless steel shovel, according to the print there, and it supposedly has 24 functions, and there's the brand name, which I have never heard of before and probably will never hear of again. So just a cardboard box, nothing fancy there, and on the back we have our supposed 24 functions. So I'll pan through those for people who are curious as to what the supposed 24 functions are. You can stop that and look at it at your leisure. So there we've got the supposed 24 functions. So inside the cardboard box we have a nylon carrying case. So silica gel pack to protect from moisture. So a reasonably heavy, like a Cordura nylon case. Got some Velcro to keep the top closed. There are two plastic eyelets on each end, and it comes with a strap, so I guess you could sling this over your shoulder. It's a rather heavy thing to be carrying around. I don't think I'd be using it if I was a backpacker. It's just, it'd be just too heavy for that kind of thing. There's a belt loop as well, so you could, in theory, put it on a belt. But once again, I just plan to put this under the seat of the vehicle for sort of emergency purposes. So inside, we have the shovel and the handle sections. So as you can see, we've got a handle section there, and some of the stuff is stored inside the handles. Another handle section, and then the shovel itself, and inside the pouch, like I said, we have just some dividers there to keep everything kind of tidy. The nylon seems to have a bit of a padding between it, so I guess that would keep it from poking through into and abrading things that are nearby. The shovel itself, the shovel head, has another kind of a sub-carrying case with a couple of nylon straps, and that's sort of to protect the rest of the case from the sharp edges of the shovel itself. And it has a fairly substantial, fairly heavy hinge there, and this is locked by means of rotating the handle. It unthreads, and that allows you to rotate the head through various positions, and then you can screw the handle back down and tighten it. So you can affix this at various angles. You can do like a 45-degree angle. We've got 90 degrees, and finally, of course, we have 180 degrees. So just locks over like that, and we've got this plate with a couple of notches, and that locks onto the tabs. So that's kind of how that setup works. And there's a kind of a rubberized nylon-y kind of washer there that you can tighten that down against. So the head of the shovel is stainless steel, and it is reasonably thick. There's a good close-up of how thick the material is. It has a fairly substantial heft to it. It feels solid, like something that should hold up fairly well. We've got some edges ground onto this. On the back side of the shovel, you can see that there's a bevel there, but unfortunately it doesn't come to a sharp tip at the front, so this might be a little bit of a challenge to use for digging. It may require some additional filing to make that into a sharp edge. A shovel or a spade really does need a fairly sharp edge at the front to be able to bite into the ground. So we've got a chopping edge on this side, so this has been ground down to, you know, it will catch your fingernail, so it's actually fairly sharp. That could be used to chop through roots, I would assume. We've got a little bit of a beveled cutting edge over here, so I guess for things that you can't hack your way through with this side, you could saw away at it with the other side. And then there's a variety of holes in the blade, and these are intended to be kind of an improvised wrench, I would assume, for different sizes of bolt heads. We've got another kind of a bolt cutout up here, probably a 10mm one. This appears to be like a, I don't know if you would use that for cutting rope, perhaps. I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if it would poke through. No, I don't think that would cut through a can. I was wondering if you could use that for a can opener, but that's most likely meant for slicing through rope. We've got this cutout here, which is apparently to be used as a nail puller, and then we've got a bottle opener built onto the edge. So these are all kind of additional so-called features that you'd have on this. The shovel actually has a hooked over portion up here, so if you want to stand on this to push it into the ground, that's a good feature. And the handle sections themselves are black anodized aluminum. They are hollow, and that's important for some of the stuff that you might store in them, or you will store in them, because this comes with some sort of bits and bobs to increase its supposed usefulness. And these are threaded. So I get one of the other handle sections here. So there's another handle section. These are tubular and hollow. There's an O-ring on the end, and the O-rings, when you thread the sections together, the O-rings kind of keep it fairly tight. So you have a total of 3 different sections. There's the top section. The top one has a pointed end on it with a strap, so you could kind of hang it up at a tree or whatever. And it is also threaded as well. And so there's the top section. So that, of course, threads on. And when you were done, you have a shovel with a fairly long handle. So that's kind of nice. A lot of the folding entrenching tool type shovels have a handle which is about equivalent to 2 of these sections. So having the other length of handle is kind of nice. So this also comes with some accessory type items. One of them is this knife blade and saw. So we've got a knife here and a saw back, which would be hopefully useful for cutting through roots. The knife comes fairly sharp. It's actually halfway impressive how sharp that is. And we've also got a screwdriver, which is could be kind of handy. We've got a blade end on one end and then a Phillips bit on the other, like a large Phillips bit. And these screw into the handle sections. There is also a striker, and that is another screw-in addition. It screws into the end of the cap, so you've got like a ferro rod type thing for starting fires. So this other stuff is, in my opinion, a little bit gimmicky, but it really probably doesn't detract from the overall design. So these additional pieces, I would assume, would be best used by threading them into one of the handle sections like that. So you can, if you look inside the handle sections, these have a thread, and of course we've got a thread on these and a bit of a boss to keep them centered. And so if you wanted to use the knife or the saw, you would thread them in to the handle, and you've got, you know, a knife or a saw with quite a large handle. And, you know, you put the end cap on that, and you've got, you know, what might be a fairly usable tool that doesn't take up much more room compared to what you started off with. And same thing goes with the screwdriver attachment. The knife does come with a piece of cardboard to protect everything, it's probably not the greatest arrangement just to have a little piece of cardboard. It might be better to look around and find a piece of plastic or perhaps ABS pipe or something that could be heated up and formed over this just to keep the edges sharp. And all this stuff should store inside the handles when you're not using it. So anyway, that's the basic setup. So next up, we'll take it out and we'll try it and see how it works.